Hi and welcome to my channel. Today we're gonna learn how to make bunuelos, which is a sweet pastry that is a traditional pastry that we eat every Christmas. It's a tradition for my family to eat, so we call them bunuelos, which is a kind of like a deep fried pastry that we eat it with cinnamon and sugar. So this is my recipe of how to make buñuelos. So this is what we're gonna need for our recipe. So these are the ingredients we're gonna use today. We're gonna use 1 cup of hot water. It's warm water actually, 1 cup. We're gonna use 4 cups of all-purpose flour. We're gonna use 3/4 of a cup of all vegetable shortening. That's what we're gonna put on our flour. And then we're gonna use 1/2 of a teaspoon of baking powder, 1/2 a teaspoon of sea salt, and we're gonna use 1 teaspoon of cinnamon, ground cinnamon, and 1/2 cup of sugar. And this is for our buñuelos. Once we're done cooking them, this is what we're gonna put on them. We're gonna use 2.5 cups of any oil that you want to deep fry them, because we're gonna deep fry them. You could deep fry them on coconut oil, you could deep fry them on vegetable oil, but it's gonna be 2.5 cups to deep fry them. And we're gonna get started. So the first thing we're gonna do, we're gonna put our 4 cups of flour and we're gonna sift it. So we're gonna make sure there's no crumbs on them or anything. So we're gonna put 4 cups of all-purpose flour. So this is 1 cup, and we're gonna sift it to make sure there's no crumbs or any like little residue left over of our flour. So this is the 2nd cup. So here we're sifting it. And now we're gonna do our 3rd cup of flour. Our 3rd cup. And we're sifting it. And then our 4th cup. And we're sifting it. So now what we're gonna do, we're gonna mix all our ingredients together to make sure they can mix well. We're gonna mix our salt and our baking powder. So that's what you always wanna do. You wanna make sure you give it a good mix, because sometimes it stays in one place and then when you bake your food, it starts to some places taste more like the ingredient. So we're gonna throw our 1/2 teaspoon of salt and 1/2 teaspoon of baking powder. So now to make sure they mix well together, I'm gonna mix it around, give it a good mix. Make sure our 3 ingredients are well mixed together. Okay, so now when we're done with that, we're gonna add our 4 cups of shortening to our flour. You could do lard, or you could do shortening. I'm using shortening today. Sometimes I use lard. It's up to you. What either or, lard or vegetable shortening. So what we're gonna do, now that we put our 3/4 of a cup, we're gonna mix it with the flour. Mix it all together. And yes, my hands are fully washed. They're ready to be able to cook today. Make sure that you always have good cleaning standards when it comes to cooking. So here we're mixing all our shortening well with our flour. And this is the dough that we're gonna make to make our buñuelos, which is our pastry we're gonna make today. So now we're gonna add our warm water. So we have a cup, so we're gonna add 1/2 cup first and mix it around. So see, it looks like it still needs more water, so we're gonna add the other half a cup. You always wanna add a little bit at a time because you never wanna over add water, because then you're gonna have to add more flour, more ingredients, and that's gonna change the whole amounts of your the measurements of your recipe. So see, it looks like it's, I think, good enough. So the most important thing when it comes to your pastry to make your buñuelos is making sure you give it a good mix. You know, you're gonna spend a good time, about 10 minutes, mixing your masa, which is your flour. I say masa in Spanish because that's how we call it in my house. So see, this is good enough. So we left a little bit, one third cup of water in there. So we didn't use the full 1 cup. We pretty much used probably, take away 1/3 of the cup. And that's how much water we use. We didn't use the full cup. So you want to give it a good mix to your dough. That's the most important thing on how easy it's going to be for you to roll it when you start making your buñuelo. So see, and you know that you gave it a good amount of water and a good amount of flour when it doesn't stick to your hands or stick to wherever you're mixing it, to the pan or to the mold or whatever item you're using to mix your ingredients. You know that you have the right ingredients when it's not sticking to anything. So see, you're just gonna use some elbow grease. Give it a good workout. And this is the most important thing when it comes to doing this pastry. This is the same ingredients we use to make tortillas. Exactly same. To make flour tortillas, this is with this we can make flour tortillas. So now that we mix it for about 8 minutes, we're gonna cover it. So we're gonna use this plastic seal to cover it. You could use plastic seal, you could use Reynolds wrap, you could use plastic wrap, you could use foil paper, or you could use a paper towel, a towel. But we're just gonna cover it and let it rest for about 20 minutes, and then we're gonna start to make our buñuelos. So we're gonna come back once it's gonna rest for about 20 minutes, and then we'll come back and start making our buñuelos, our pastry. It's gonna be delicious. Oh, and then one more thing. Here's I forgot to tell you in the beginning of the video that we're gonna use about 1/2 cup of flour. When we start rolling our buñuelos, we're gonna need that, and we're gonna need the stick to start rolling our buñuelos. So we're gonna start to mix our 1/2 cup of sugar with our teaspoon of cinnamon. So we're gonna add all this cinnamon and our sugar, and we're gonna start to mix it around. And this is what we're gonna use to put on our buñuelos once they're done cooking. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna take some of the crumbs that are from the sugar. That's why I'm using a fork, or you could sift it. See the little crumbs that come out? You could see them because the cinnamon made all the sugar change color. So now those little pieces are really good to spot of like crumb sugar. So see, now our sugar with cinnamon is ready, and it smells fantastic. So we're just gonna give it a good mix. And now we're gonna wait for our dough to rest for about 20 minutes or 30. And then we'll come back and start making them. Throw some flour, turn it around, and then turn it around. So see, now we're gonna start to cook our buñuelos. So we're gonna put the first one in there. See how fast it's cooking? So once we take it out of the oil, I'm gonna put it in a plate with a paper towel so it could get some of the excess oil. And then after that, we're gonna dunk it into the sugar and the cinnamon. See how it got nice and crispy really fast? So that's how we want it. We want our oil to be nice and hot. Of course, you're not gonna have children in the kitchen while you're cooking this because this is very dangerous. You know, you want to be safe. So see, now it's fully cooked. So now we're gonna take it out and put another one in. So I'm gonna bring down the oil. I brought it down to 4. It was on a 5. So now we're gonna turn it over. Just want our oil to be nice and hot. Now we're gonna turn it over. So it's taking about less than a minute to cook one. So that's it. Now we're gonna take it out. See, it's nice and crunchy. It's falling apart already. Now we're gonna put it on our plate so it could absorb some of the oil. Here's our third one. So this is how we put the sugar on our buñuelos, the cinnamon sugar. So we get one, this is hot, it was just made. And then we sprinkle the sugar on it. And then we turn it over and let it drop the sugar. And then we sprinkle sugar on the other side. And then we lift it and it's gonna drop all the excess sugar that it doesn't need. And then you could put it on a plate. See? Now we're gonna do the next one. So see, we put sugar. We sprinkle the sugar and then we drop the excess sugar. Turn it around. And then lift. And see? So here we go. We're done with our buñuelos. So this is our final buñuelos. We have this stack or we have this stack. So we ended up making 20 of them with the recipe that I did. So we're gonna try one out. So that we're gonna try this one. And they're not all perfectly round and that doesn't matter because we're gonna eat them anyways. So see, I'm gonna cut a little piece. They're delicious. They're nice and crunchy. It has a really good crunchiness, but it's fully cooked and it's delicious. This is like the best thing ever for us. Every Christmas, but my mom used to make them for us. Crispy, sweet. Mmm. It brings so much nostalgia. It makes me remember when I was a little girl and my mom used to make them for Christmas. Every Christmas we had them. So this is my recipe on how to make bunuelos at home. Try it. You won't regret it. See, I can't stop eating it because they're so good. So crispy and delicious. They're so good. You could have them with a coffee or with hot chocolate or a cup of milk. They're so good. I could eat the whole thing, but I'll be here chewing all day. So thank you for coming to my channel. Hope you like my recipe. And don't forget to like or subscribe or share.